these circles right there. And I'm just going to Command plus and zoom in so you can see a little bit more carefully. I've got the left blue circle selected. Then I want you to click the arrow to the right of the Select Similar Objects tool in the Tools panel. So that is this one right here. And again, if you hover over, you can see that is, sorry, get rid of this. Okay, Select Similar Objects. I want you to choose Fill Color. So Fill Color is what I've got right here. And this should be selecting here. So let's try this again. Select there, go to Select Similar Objects, Fill Color, and that should have attached this as well around both blue circles. So if it didn't work, of course, you can always, let's just click off. If you click one object, hold down Shift, you can click the other one as well. Let's try and hopefully this will work with these green shapes down here. So you can use this method when, sorry, let me here. I want you to select one of the red or green fill shapes down here, and I want you to select same stroke color. So select same stroke color. And there we go, that's worked. So that's what should have happened with the blue circles, where my selection then goes around everything else and that's of similar stroke or fill or whichever you have identified. In this case, I identified same stroke color. So all of the shapes with the same stroke or border are now selected. So if you know that you may need to reselect a series of objects again, like the selected objects, like for example, this we're going to make into a scarf, you can save the selection so you can easily recall it later. And then your saved selections will only save within the document that you're working on. So while these are selected, I want you to go Select, and I want you to Save Selection. And then in this dialog box that pops up, I want you to type in scarf and click OK. And now that's saved as a scarf. I'm going to click off to deselect it. Okay, diverting, we'll come back to this scarf. Page 66 of your lesson has you looking at what outline mode means. So you can select objects in outline mode. So Adobe Illustrator displays all the artwork with their paint attributes like fill and stroke, but you can choose to display artwork that's only in outlines, or as we defined yesterday, the outline is called a path. So in outline mode, you only outline or you only see the path or the outline, and this can be very useful if you want to select objects within a series of stacked objects and when you've got a lot of detail going on. So let's view Fit All in window so we see everything from our document. You'll remember that we in the last tutorial had the head of the snowman that we hid. So now we're going to bring that head back. Object, Show All. And boom, there's our snowman's head again. So with the selection tool, click one of the white eyes. You'll get this dark border around it. Since the eye has a white fill or a color inside, you can click anywhere within the eye. I could click here, I could click up here, anywhere within the bounds of the object to select it. Then I want to go View, Outline, and you'll notice the presentation of our information here is very different. So with the selection tool, click inside the other eye shape. It doesn't select it because it's just an outline now. So to select an object in outline mode, you can click the edge of the object. You can click the path, and that's how you select it. With the selection tool, I want you to click off. I want you to drag a marquee across both eye shapes. We're just going to try and get the tops of the eye shapes, and then that will make the selection of just the eyes. And if you click the up and down arrow on your keyboard, you see that I'm just moving, you're just moving the eyes up and down, and they are just moving because those are the only objects on this artboard that are selected. Click off, just so you now see how you can select in outline mode. Now we're going to go back to the way we are usually viewing our documents. So we're going to go View, GPU, Preview, and here we are back again. Okay, the rest of the tutorial here is going to be about different ways that you can align objects. So you can align or distribute multiple objects relative to each other to the artboard, which is, here's one or artboard, here's another, or to a key object. So we're going to explore these because these ways to align objects. It's very useful. So one type of aligning is aligning objects to each other. This can be useful if, for instance, you want to align the top edges of a series of selected shapes. So we're going to go back. We're going to select all the way down to our saved selection, the scarf. Okay, notice when you click that, your scarf is selected again. Down here at the bottom, click this little arrow to go next. So now we have this artboard with the scarf on it in the center. Then click the zoom tool. Of course, there's a variety of ways that you can do this. And I want you to drag across. I'm dragging from left to right, and that makes my scarf larger. And then I want you to go up to the top here, click Align, and then right down in the bottom corner here, you're going to click the Align To right here. Actually, it has us clicking the vertical align. So the vertical align looks like this one. And again, if you hover over, oh, that was not supposed to happen. Command Z, I'm going to undo that. Okay, so let's start back from the top of page 68. So I've got my scarf selected. I'm going to select scarf. My scarf is selected. Now I'm going to choose the Align To selection up here from the control panel and ensure that the selected objects are aligned to each other. So we're going to Align to Selection. Okay, click the vertical align button, that's this one. There we go. You can notice that they're now all vertically aligned. The bottom edges of all of the selected objects have moved to align to each other. Click Off and then Edit, Undo Align. And there we are back where we started. So that is how you can align objects to each other. Aligning to a key object. A key object is an object that you want other objects to align to. So this could be useful when you want to align a series of objects and maybe one of them is already in the perfect position. So you identify a key object by selecting all of the objects you want to align, including the key object, and then you click again on the key object. So let's go back all of our shapes, make sure all of your shapes are still selected. You're going to click the leftmost shape. Oh, I'm going to go back to selection up here. Click the leftmost shape and you'll notice now I've got this thick blue outline around this shape to indicate that that's the key object. And then the Align To Key Object icon, we want to make sure that that is selected. So up here, Align To Key Objects. And then when we click the vertical align button up here, it's going to align everything to this one right here, which we identified as our key object. So notice all of the selected shapes move to align to the top edge of the key object. So they're all aligned up here. If they were different heights, they would still all be aligned up here. So I'm going to click Off and click Off again. And now that is how you align to a key object. Now if I want to align to anchor points, for example, 2 anchor points, that will help for things like straightening, Command minus. So this bottom part of the snowman is crooked. So we're going to look at how to straighten that using the 2 identified key anchor points, and it will straighten itself. So select the direct selection tool up here to the right of the selection tool. Click the lower left-hand corner. See when you hover over again, the anchor point shows up. So we're going to click that one. Then we're going to shift click this other anchor point. And then the last selected anchor point is the key anchor point. So that's this one right here. We're going to click the vertical align top button up here. And that looks like this. Okay, and then there we go. That straightens out the bottom of our snowman's body. So that is how you align to anchor points. If you want to go back to the selection tool, click off, and now we've deselected that. Okay, the last thing, if you want to, part of the Align panel allows you to distribute objects. Using the Align panel, you can select multiple objects and distribute the spacing between the centers or edges of those objects equally. And this obviously could be very useful in projects to do with graphic design. So next you're going to make the spacing between the red and green shapes even. So you have the selection tool chosen up here. We're going to select scarf, this saved selection that we saved at the beginning of this lesson. We're going to choose the align, and down here, so we've been working with align and distribute so far. Now we're going to be looking at next we'll look down here. So we're still up here. What I want you to do is choose this one here, horizontal distribute center. Okay, there you go. You notice if you click that now these red and green pieces that form the scarf are evenly distributed from these center points. So the distance between each of these center points is now equal. So distributing moves all of the selected shapes so that the spacing between the center of each of them is equal. Click off. Let's undo that. So edit, undo align. Now we're back to where we started. Leave these shapes selected. Click the leftmost shape again. So now that's going to identify it as a key object. And we're going to click the word align up here again. And now we're actually going to ensure that distribute spacing is 0. So now we're going to work with these buttons down here. And distribute spacing distributes the spacing between selected objects, whereas distribute objects up here aligns the spacing between the centers of the selected objects. The value you can set is a great way to set a specific distance between objects. You have to define a key object before you are able to enter a value though. Okay, so let's click off, select, deselect, or just click off there. You can also align content to the artboard rather than to a selection or key object. Aligning to the artboard aligns each selected object separately to the artboard. Next, you're going to align the white half circle shape. So with the selection tool, here we are, choose that, click the white half circle shape, and choose edit cut. Okay, then go down here, click the arrow to get to the previous artboard, and then edit paste. There's the bottom half of our snowman. Click the align to selection that we've been working with up here and choose align to artboard. Okay, you may not notice a difference. Click the horizontal align center button. That's this guy right here. Okay, and again, if it's already relatively centered, you probably won't notice a huge change. And then click the vertical align button. Here you should notice that the body of the snowman goes into the correct position. And then we are going to click off to deselect, and we will continue on with the rest of lesson 2 at a later time, where we're going to look at grouping items and arranging objects. So that's where we will finalize our scarf and put the rest of this snowman together.